If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Stay ready.
There you go. We're live. All right. Try 312. We are live finally. Welcome everybody. We are here. You turn the volume down. Little audio technical difficulties, but we are now live. So welcome to Try 312, where we bring you the Try in the Shy, all the news about triathlon and multi-sport endurance sports in the Chicago area, whether it's talking to coaches, clubs, communities, businesses. We cover a little bit of everything related to the urban triathletes experience. And today we're kicking off, we're doing a special episode where we're actually talking to none other than Jonathan Harris, the director of Team to End AIDS.
Thanks for having me.
And he's our boss to some degree, I guess, for Joy and I, because we help coach the Team to End AIDS charity team for the marathon and the triathlon. And we're honored that he could join us here right after we kicked off our season with all of our athletes this past week.
Yeah.
And are heading into the meat of the endurance training season. So we want to bring him on to kind of just introduce him and learn a little bit more about both the AIDS Foundation, Team to End AIDS, but also how you got into endurance sports.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And it's definitely a partnership, by the way. I mean, I may sign the contract and pay you, but I rely heavily on your expertise and knowledge, as do the athletes. So for those who don't know, Team to End AIDS is the endurance training program for the AIDS Foundation Chicago. We've been around for over 20 years and train athletes for marathons, half marathons, triathlons. They fundraise on behalf of the AIDS Foundation. Their donations go to support life-saving social services that we provide to clients who are in need of housing, to pay the rent so they can stay in their housing, to get them to doctor's appointments, get them on meds, with the goal of ending the HIV epidemic by the year 2030. So, yeah, and the team is great. We've had we raised over $14 million in 20 years from about 7,000 athletes across the board, from people doing their own 5Ks to our signature events like the Chicago Marathon, the TCS New York City Marathon, Chicago Triathlon, Chicago Half Marathon. We've added events over the years. Next year we'll be at the Paris Marathon for the first time, which is exciting. Yeah. We had 2 runners in the Boston Marathon this year. So we're always trying to expand our portfolio. There's only so many times someone can run the same race. We have a very dedicated and loyal group of athletes, but it's nice to offer them a little bit of a change every now and then. So so our athletes are inspiring, and that's what keeps me going every day. Just hearing their stories, why they're on the team. Everyone's got a different motivation for being a part of T2. They've been recipients of services from the AIDS Foundation, or they know a friend or family member who has HIV, or they have HIV, or someone they know died during the worst period of time during the AIDS epidemic in the 80s or the 90s, and they're running in their memory. So there's lots of reasons, but everyone comes back, I believe, for the family and the sense of community that they get from running with us. Which again is generated internally, but it's also coming from the staff, coming from the coaches, trying to kind of encourage people to get to know each other, hold everyone accountable, and making sure that they're ready to go. And then race day is like the culmination of of all their training. I mean, Chris says that's the celebration run. You put in hundreds of miles, from June through October to run 26.2, or
it's the victory lap.
Yeah, for sure.
The real journey is the training. The race day is just the victory lap and the big celebration party. And you've done a really nice job where now we have a whole gymnasium just a block from the finish line at the marathon, rented out with massage and food and drinks and a nice warm or air-conditioned place on a hot or cold day.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's T2HQ. It's I've tried to, not everyone runs for charity, and there's a lot of ways to get your own entry. Trying to distinguish, why someone want to run for charity. Yes, it's a good cause, and yes, it's motivating to you, but there's also perks.
Yeah.
You get your race entry paid for, and you can run with a team, and you're not alone out there. And then, yes, we have this amazing race day runner resort, with all the amenities that you're not going to get if you're just a regular runner.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people join the team just for either the VIP race day perks. Some people join it for social reasons too, just because friends are doing it. And that's what I kind of love about the team is how many alumni we have that come back every year and how it's really become a family. Like I probably see our T2 athletes more than I do my own family every year. It's they really kind of naturally are an extension of our endurance family in Chicago.
Yeah, it's nice. And I enjoy coming back. I mean, there's that period after the marathon, before we kick off, where it's kind of a lull, but I always see posts of people getting together on their own. Actually, a lot of them are doing runs on their own. They continue their pace groups throughout the winter. Some are training for a spring marathon. Some are just doing it to stay fit and keep in touch. We've actually had some runners who have become family. They've gotten married. They've got kids together. So yeah, it's nice to see. And then there's always like those first timers. About half the team every year is new athletes. So they don't necessarily know what to expect other than maybe stories they've heard from friends who've recruited them. So we got to make sure that we're giving them the experience that the other people know have come to expect.
Yeah, we've got people who are coming back 10 or 15 years later after they've done it before. So it's always nice to see. And
yeah,
there's a lot of camaraderie on the Lakefront Trail, having, people be like, go T2, seeing the gang in red, as we call ourselves sometimes. Easy to spot when everyone's wearing nice bright red gear. So makes it easy to spectate on race day as well.
Yeah. So it's nice. I mean, it's an accomplishment, but knowing that you're doing something that's bigger than yourself, that you're raising money to help people who, maybe they can't run. And there's also a lot of causes out there. I mean, there's so many different charities that are extremely worthy. You got to pick a charity that means something to you. Whatever the cause is, if it's pets or if it's, a terrible disease. Everyone who's running for charity, I think it's admirable, because not only are you taking on the onus of training, but you're also taking on the responsibility of fundraising a certain amount. And there's that added pressure that people feel. So kudos to anyone who chooses to be a charity runner. I realize that some people get to be charity runners because that's how they're going to get a race entry. So that's great. However they come to us, I just want to make sure that they have a great experience, and, then they tell their friends about it, and then they come back, and then they're like, oh, I could do better the next year. And that's where I think the coaches come in. And, I've been a runner my whole life. Ran track in high school. I ran recreationally in college, and, just to stay fit, and never really ran a race until after I was married. So I think 2000 maybe was my first, and a friend's like, hey, you should run the marathon. I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? How hard can it be, right? I had no idea what I was getting into.
Have you ever spectated the Chicago Marathon before you signed up to do it?
I don't know if I did, actually. Sure, it's kind of hard to avoid.
Yeah.
So I think I did go out, but I didn't
know what about doing it.
I mean, I remember, so my friend's like, yeah, and I was like, and I follow Hal Higdon, was like the guru of running, who I signed up for his training plan and followed it to a T. And I didn't have a watch. I didn't know what my pace was. I would just be like, I look at the clock when I start, and I would look at the clock when I get back. And I was like, okay, I guess my pace is way off, and that would not including the stop along the way and talking to people. So I'm a much smarter runner now than I was. I mean, I think I did the Chicago Half Marathon right before the Chicago Marathon in 2000. I was my first structured race, with a number, and I didn't know what the number was on the back of my shirt. I didn't know what it meant to be lining up with people and running a horde of people going down the path at the same time. So it was extremely eye-opening to me, and I definitely learned a lot. So having coaches impart their wisdom to our athletes, I think some people need to learn firsthand, but other people can heed the advice and warnings that we try to impart to them, and that can make them a better runner.
Now, did you run in the right gear when you did your first half marathon?
Yeah, I think at that, I hadn't started working for Fleet Feet yet. but I knew about them.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, I definitely bought some stuff. My wife just bought me like the Nike Shocks had just come out. Remember those with the,
Yes.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, these are great. Meanwhile, totally wrong shoe for me to wear. Not the amount of protection I needed or whatever, but I didn't know. And so I got smarter. I knew cotton was not a good thing.
Okay.
But my knowledge was not much beyond. I didn't know how much I should drink. I didn't know anything about gels. Like people would tell me some information. There was like chat groups, before there was Facebook and stuff. So I picked up pieces here and there. And Huffington had a good book. I read his book and I was learning some things. So it was piecemeal, and I definitely learned through experience. So if I could tell myself then what I know now, I probably would be a better runner then. But yeah, I believe trial and error makes everybody just better, smarter people.
So what was the Chicago Marathon your very first marathon?
It was.
And then how many marathons you've done since then?
I've done, I think 15 marathons. I think the Chicago Marathon I've done 8 times, New York City 4 times, Twin Cities 3 times, the Marine Corps Marathon a few times. So a lot of the same races. Disney, I think. Yeah. Anyway, I have a whole spreadsheet that tracks every single race I've ever run.
Like
every
any good
distance.
runner, we all
Yeah.
have our little
And like
splits.
splits and all that stuff. It's quite lengthy. So
Do you have any favorite race that you either would go back and do again on a heartbeat, or is there
Would
any
never
race that
do again?
or one you wouldn't do again, or also one maybe you're looking forward to doing that you haven't done?
Yeah.
Anything on your bucket list?
I did a Spartan race. That was crazy fun, but I don't think I'd do it again. I did Ragnar
Yeah.
relay with a bunch of people years ago.
That's a 200-mile relay run with a
Yeah.
team of people.
Yeah,
and
12 people. It's
You
run.
can do either 12. So for those who don't know what Ragnar is, it's a big relay. You can either do it with 12 people or you can do the super team of 6 people.
It's
Yeah.
usually an overnight,
Yes, there's no sleep.
full day, like
It's a
weekend
constant
event.
go. Yeah, the first person goes and you basically hand off the baton, and it's a relay from. I did mine from Madison to Chicago. So 200-mile race. It was fun. It's like you're in the middle of the night. I had some good legs though. So each runner has, I think, 3 legs that they take at various points, and it was good. So those are always fun, like the kind of the different ones. And I've done the kitschy 5K theme runs. Rock and Roll used to be a really good race. They used to have some good concerts. They've since left Chicago.
Yeah.
They haven't come back, but they're all different. Every course is different. So training in Chicago can be challenging for running anywhere else because any place has hills but here, pretty much. So you got to figure that out. But I've done runs in California that are really scenic. That I love. So I just like nice scenic courses that are enjoyable, well produced. That's got to be kind of key. I didn't do some races that I turned out to be terrible races, like that don't exist anymore for very good reason. So, but I think it's fun. I think it's a good way to stay active, and the community in Chicago is really strong, I think.
And we've now had a lot of athletes who've done the marathon go into triathlon as well. Have you done a triathlon, or are you planning to do one?
I've done indoor triathlons, which you say it does.
Swim, bike, run counts.
So technically, yes, but never outdoors in open water. I would like to. I was hoping to do the half iron in
Wisconsin,
in Madison, but it was 2020. I was training well, swimming well, and then COVID hit and that shut down. And that at the time, the race was in June. They've since moved it to September, and it's the same weekend as the full iron. And with work commitments, it makes it a little difficult for me to train for that. So I still would like to do it. I still have a very good wetsuit. There's very little usage to justify my purchase of it. But yeah, someday, and hopefully it's not too far. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Of the 3, of the swim, bike, and run, what is your favorite? What is your least favorite?
Swim is probably my least, just because I'm not used to open water swimming, and I love to bike and I like to run. So I mean, I know I can run, but I like the biking component. But the whole element. I always like watching the clinics that Coach Chris holds about transition and bike skills and the very specific rules. So there's a lot to it. It's not just, oh, I can bike and I can run, I can swim. There's a lot of,
Putting it all together.
yeah.
There's always a duathlon for you.
I've heard there's rumors of that. Yeah.
Well, you've been out in Lake Michigan. I've got I take a waterproof camera out when I go swim and coach the
I think that was the one time I took my wetsuit out.
and I've gotten a photo of you at Ohio Street Beach making it out to the I think at least the half-mile buoy or a quarter-mile buoy. I don't know if you
did the full mile there and back.
Half-mile, yep.
Yeah.
There and back. So you've done it. You just haven't officially done an outdoor triathlon.
And I haven't done it with like hundreds of other people around me, on top of me, and pushing me around.
That'll be our goal. We need to get Jonathan to do an actual outdoor triathlon for the years.
Challenge accepted.
What is the one piece of gear, whether it's marathon or triathlon, that you would recommend to anybody?
I think it starts, the basic is your good shoes, that you're in the right. So it's bottom up. Shoes and socks are key. Just the right gear that you're not chafing. It's comfortable. Hydration. I learned the hard way about what your needs are and not overhydrating, not underhydrating. So knowing what you need to bring with you. Just apparel in general, and if it's hot, just, prepare, drink more ahead of time, wear a hat, sunglasses, all that stuff. So I think apparel is key.
Okay.
But it helps to look good too. So they make a lot of different, things out there that you can still look good and it can be functional.
If there was one piece of workout equipment that it was the only thing you could pick to work out with, what would it be?
Would it be?
What's the one gear item that you can't live without?
I like my Garmin.
Yeah. I think almost everybody says it.
Helps. I don't know. I like analytics. It helps keep me
honest.
Yeah, it does. So, and you can pretty much work out anywhere. Like, create your own cross training type exercise on the beach, or you could hop on a bike. I've always kind of been a gym rat, so I'm into weights. I've changed my routine from like what it was in high school and college to how much I can bench press to more like being more flexible and doing more strengthening.
We should bring over you brought your bike here. You actually rode your bike down to our Trying the Shy show.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Maybe we should make that a requirement that anyone who comes on the show has to either swim, bike, or run their way onto the show.
If I swam here, I'd have to leave a lot earlier. I did just the bike. But I think cross, and I've learned that cross training is key to like developing your core, like a strong core. Cool. I know you have awesome Pilates classes, which I've yet to take. I think I'm a little intimidated by that, but that'll make you stronger. When I started like the boot camp that I go to, I've really noticed like an improvement in my times and my endurance, especially later in the race. Having a strong core can definitely help you kick at the end versus fade. So,
well, that's a good segue. We're actually going to start putting, I think almost every week, as we head into marathon season, a lot of Joy's Pilates with Coach Joy videos up on our TRI312 channel. So people
Pilates with the Fro,
follow along with Pilates with the Fro. We'll have those up. So every week people have a new Pilates workout they can do from the start of marathon season all the way through to the end of marathon season. Because that's when we're prioritizing and our focus is on running or swimming, biking, and running, sometimes we don't do enough strength training, cross training. That's definitely something we all could use a little bit more of, for sure.
What's the favorite gear? You guys have been at it longer than I have. No races. If you had one piece of gear you couldn't live without.
Oh,
it's tough.
Well, definitely it is my Garmin, but in the pool, I have a tempo trainer that I use. So for those who don't know what a tempo trainer is, I come from I have a music background. It is a metronome for swimming. So you can set it to whatever beat and whatever pace in order to match your stroke to the beat. Yeah. So that is one of my favorite
So
That's my favorite.
is it a what? Is it?
No, you actually put in your swim cap.
Oh, and it's like clicking?
It's like a little beep, a little metronome.
Oh, wow.
And you can make it super fast or you can make it super slow. I think it's one of the best inventions ever.
Yeah, I like the Form swim goggles
Yes.
are basically a similar thing. They give you the heads up display in your goggle and you can see your cadence. So you
Yes.
don't hear the beat, but you can see
Yeah.
the number. Oh, look at that.
Oh, darn.
Oh. I'm gonna have that. So Joy literally can't live without it because
Yeah.
it's in her bag all the time. But yeah, I think those gadgets are great. The Garmin, I think all of us, we can't live without. It seems like we're very data oriented when you get into endurance sports. But for me, it would definitely be the bike. Like I can't imagine not having a bike to just go out and ride.
Yeah.
Like I'd give up my Garmin just to have a bike. Well, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's actually a good, I love them.
How many bikes do you have?
Not enough.
N+1 for bikes, just in case you need to know.
Well, speaking of gear, a good segue. We have some things coming up, including this weekend. We are doing a fun run. So if anyone wants to join us on Michigan Avenue at the brand store, the Under Armour store, we're going to do a run and a social hour.
Mhm.
So we're going to have 6 o'clock, I think the meetup, 6:15 we'll do the run. Around 7 p.m. we will have a shopping night, and then 8 p.m. a social hour. And we'll put the link to the description and the RSVP the link in the description. Sorry, for this weekend. And it's a busy weekend too, because there's a lot of events going on.
After that, this upcoming Sunday is the Chicago Spring Half Marathon.
Yeah.
Come on down. If you're not running,
10K.
and it's a half marathon and 10K. If you're not running or just want to check it out, to the beer tent, because T2 runs the beer tent. So donate and get a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the nice thing is I think the race gives you, I think, 1 beer ticket,
Yes.
right? And then you can make a donation to get additional beer.
yeah,
And
you
it's a
can just
nice
walk up.
weekend. People hang out all
So to the public.
morning.
Maggie Daly Park. It's a beautiful place. Hopefully, I haven't checked the forecast, but I'm hoping it'll be nice.
We don't check the forecast until like 24 hours before.
Pretty much.
I think that's one of my favorite things too that I hear from a lot of the athletes is that, besides providing the race entry and the training program and all that, because the fundraising is sometimes a challenge for someone who's new, you guys really do help facilitate that quite a bit by having these opportunities where the athletes who are fundraising can volunteer at like the beer tents or open water swim clinics. I think we have the beer tent at the Chicago Spring Half Marathon, the Fall Half Marathon, the Chicago Turkey
Trot.
Yeah. And then in the fall, there might be a Will Run for Beer 5K. We've done that. So the kind of the concept behind that is that, and it's sort of on brand for the AIDS Foundation, it's about equity, and endurance sports traditionally has been expensive, and there's barriers to entry for folks who can't afford a bike or a wetsuit or a race entry or even a pair of shoes. And then, on top of that, if you put 1,200, 14, 2,000, 3,000, whatever the fundraising minimum is on top of it, it could be daunting.
Yeah.
So if we can create an opportunity for you just to work a couple hours at a few different races, you could earn pretty much all of your fundraising minimum without having to ask friends and
Yeah, 'cause
family.
all the money that's donated for additional beer goes actually straight back to the charity.
It does, yeah. So
So-
we'll divide up. So Lifetime, who produces the events, makes a donation to the AIDS Foundation. So we'll take that plus all the cash donations that we get at the race itself, and we combine it and we'll divide it up among all the different volunteers. And it's been anywhere from like $100. One year it was over $600 that each person got, and that's
Wow.
and that was one race. So if you volunteer at 3-4 races, you could easily surpass your
That's
minimum.
each person. So
Correct.
we usually have like a
Yes.
group of like 10 or 12 people who are volunteering.
We've had 35, I think, for the spring
35
half this year.
volunteers.
Yeah, and they'll
Each.
also help out the race, because I know the race itself needs volunteers,
Yep.
like for bike marshaling and just help. To make any race successful, it takes a village
Yeah.
to make
But that's
it.
nice that, literally you can volunteer for 2 of these beer tents or more during the year, and you can almost cover your entire fundraising.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're a person who is concerned about, making that minimum, we also help you, how to ask for donations and what the the way to do it is so that you're more successful, because that's my job essentially is to help people be successful fundraisers, and yours is to help them be successful athletes. And together we make a good team.
And it makes it very social. You can socialize while training. You can have a VIP race day experience that's very social, and even the fundraising can be social.
Yes.
You do it with beer.
Yes. Might as well, listen, you're doing it, you might as well have a good time at the same time.
But also, speaking of other running events, next weekend we have the Chicago Soldier Field 10 miler.
Yeah.
So it's the 20th anniversary of the Soldier Field 10 miler. I think both Chris and I did the very first one.
Yeah. The 20th anniversary. Right?
It's been 20 years. Oh God.
Oh.
I think is the giveaway the throwback? Is it the blanket that they give away?
They're giving us
stadium blankets are coming
I
back.
still have mine from way back
I
in the day.
have two of them. I have the green one and the blue one.
I do too. Yeah, they're good. Cold spring softball games that I've gone to, those have come out. So,
and then, so we didn't do the recap. So this past weekend, just mentioning other events that are going on or have taken place. This past weekend was the Lincoln Park Criterium, which was a bike race up in the Lincoln Park area, right by the Dog Beach near Montrose. We also did a bike skills clinic for BFF bikes, which I would encourage any new triathletes to do. We do that as part of our Team AIDS program. We work on transition skills and bike handling skills. So now that the weather's getting nice, it's time to get those bike skills worked on.
Dust off your bikes, get them tuned up, and get them ready.
Yep. And then this is the Spring Half Marathon, in case anyone has not seen it. Little video playing in the background. So if you haven't done the Spring Half Marathon, or if you want to come down, whether you want to volunteer with Team AIDS, or if you want to volunteer, I'll be helping to actually lead the bike marshaling crew. So if you want to get on a bike, work on your bike handling skills, and check out a fun day along the lakefront, go to the website, chicagospringhalf.com, I think is the URL. If you go to the volunteer section, you can sign up for the bike leads, you can sign up for different volunteering opportunities. And it's just a fun way to kick off the running season, because a couple weeks later is when the marathon training program begins.
Yep.
So we got that, Soldier Field, a lot of events coming up. You'll see the courses along the lakefront, and it's up in the, I think it's the only race that takes place in that Maggie Daly Park area of Grant Park. So it's a nice change of scenery from the typical running events.
This couples with the fall Chicago Half Marathon, and if you do the series, there's a third medal that you get. So they wanted, the whole idea behind it is have a north side race, have a south side race, sort of to join the two ends of the city together.
And they gave out those big finisher medals, the series that are the size of a dinner plate.
So if you've never done the Chicago Spring Half or the Chicago Half Marathon that's in the fall, literally the medals are as big as your face. So start working on your neck skills to be able to hold on to that medal. Speaking of, with Soldier Field 10 miler, which is starting Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend also kicks off. All the beaches in Chicago actually open from 11 to 7, which means on Memorial Day Monday, everyone get your wetsuits out, because we do our annual cold plunge.
And I might actually try to jump in ahead of schedule just to test out the water. Apparently it's gotten up to 60 degrees, just barely already, with a little heat coming lately. So it's getting warm. It's time to dust off the wetsuits and get in the lake. And there's some other events going on. So we do our typical kind of unofficial first ice bath swim, we call it, of the swimming season on Memorial Day Monday. You're welcome to come on down. We might try to do a little live TRI312 show that day down there. We'll see how that goes. But the other thing that's happening is on Tuesday is the first open water swim clinic as part of the Chicago Tri series. Or Chicago Tri has that series of swim clinics. So that's one that you do need to sign up for in advance. I think it's $20 if you sign up
Yes.
early, $20 to $30.
And a lot of them are selling out. There are 4 of them. So every last Tuesday of May, June, July, and the second to last Tuesday, the Tuesday before the Super League Tri, which is now the Chicago Tri. We host open water swim clinics. Chris and I do help coach them. So 4 p.m., 5:15, 6:30 p.m. So get out there. We have all levels from very beginners all the way to just folks who just want to do a long swim, and everyone in between. Everyone who goes through those clinics are more confident in open water when they're doing, if it's whether the Chicago Triathlon or maybe the Big Shoulders open water swim, maybe the Chicago River swim that's happening in September, and all the open water swims in between. So definitely we're going to put the link in the description. Please register, please sign up, maybe sign up once, maybe sign up for all 4.
And if you're intimidated of open water swim clinics, there's also indoor pool schools and
Yes.
swim clinics. And the registration is open now officially for the next TRI Pool School in Chicago, which Coach Joy and I and Coach Brian, who couldn't make it here today, by the way, should have mentioned that in the beginning. He had some home maintenance that had their home repair that had to take place, and they scheduled it right on top of the show, so he couldn't make it today. But that will be August 10th to 11th, I think.
The 11th is that weekend. So it's 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday.
Yep. And it's really geared towards freestyle swimming technique. They call it functional freestyle as you build up towards triathlon events. So it's designed especially for people trying to build up in endurance, go to half iron, even Ironman distance especially. But anyone can sign up for those if you can swim 100 yards. That's the requirements to sign up for those. And if you can't swim 100 yards yet, or you're just beginning to build that endurance, actually this weekend, as part of the Team Aids program for the first time, we are actually doing our own little mini pool school, if you will. It's our swim school. That'll be a 2-hour event, not like a 2-day event, but just a short little 2-hour event to teach the fundamentals of breathing, buoyancy, and really helping people master being able to get their freestyle game elevated a little bit, especially for the beginners and those doing the Chicago Tri for the first time. So lots of swim clinics, swim events going on. The lake is still cold, but it is warming up very, very quickly.
That's a good segue. Chris and Jonathan, good question to ask the two of you. When did you start swimming? When was the first time you started swimming?
When I was a kid at camp, probably like day camp. Before that, so like I would say 3, 4, maybe.
Okay.
Taking lessons and stuff.
Do you learn how to do like proper swim strokes, or just like stay afloat?
If you ask Alan, no. Joy will critique and I do have room to improve significantly. So, but I never swam competitively, and I can stay alive, and I can swim, and I can use it as a workout. But I could definitely become a better swimmer. But
yeah, I didn't learn proper. Even though all of my brothers growing up were lifeguards, I did not know how to swim properly. I knew how to stay afloat in the ocean and boogie board and that sort of thing, but never learned how to breathe properly, like putting my head in the water and doing freestyle until I signed up for my first triathlon. And even then, I don't even think I learned it that first year. I think I went almost 2 years of triathlon before I really, truly comfortably could maintain freestyle technique. And so I learned the hard way, which is why I like to coach and help people get over that hump a lot quicker than I did.
And I think I learned the hardest out of everyone. I learned how to swim 3 months before my very first triathlon.
wow.
Like I went from 0.
How old were you?
23.
Like you couldn't swim at all?
No.
Wow.
I never learned how to swim because I went to a school, we had no swimming. Swimming was very expensive to do privately, and it's like something that we just didn't do. And no, mother didn't swim, grandparents didn't swim, so I signed up for a women's triathlon, and my friends like, "Want to sign up? Okay." Oh, I need to know how to swim, so I took swim lessons. And was it pretty? No. did it again and again and again, and start getting more formal training. And that's what I do now.
Yeah, so it's lots of swimming opportunities coming up. I think
Yes.
that was always an issue for me when I was getting started, is not having enough good swim education, swim clinics, some coaches available. And now the amount of access to it is so much better.
Yes.
So cool. So swimming, cycling news, not a lot. We just had that Lincoln Park crit this past weekend. I don't know if there's a lot of other cycling events going on, at least within the city of Chicago right here. But we'll mention, if anyone does want to join us this weekend, the bike lead opportunity at the Chicago Spring Half Marathon. Come bike, help guide a couple small number of runners on the Lakefront Trail this weekend, and then hang out for the beer garden afterwards. And then in terms of running events, I think you gave us the rundown.
Yes.
Of everything. So Spring Half coming up, Soldier Field 10 miler, and then we have the Chicago 13.1 coming up after that. So a lot of big events, back to back weekends.
And the women's Under Armour 5K, 10K run on June 1st.
Yep. So a lot of the biggest running events in Chicago actually starting to come around here pretty quick. Triathlon news. We are about to open registration for our summer indoor tri series. So we're going to do our first time ever doing TRI312 indoor triathlons during the summer afternoons on the weekend, and even some weekday racing opportunities as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more info next week as we open the registration for that. But if you want to get a head start on it, look in maybe this Friday, it might be opening registration. So, and if you're doing outdoor triathlons, there's a lot of events going on. We mentioned these last week, the state championships. So regionally, St. Louis Tri is coming up. That's the state championship for Missouri. And then all our neighboring states have state championships coming up over the next couple of months, culminating with our Chicago Tri is actually a state championship this year. So higher percentage of finishers can qualify for a national championships. I think that's pretty much it.
Yes.
A lot of tri clubs are getting things going. I think we covered Team to End AIDS, our 4-star club, our swim clinics are going on. So feel free to join us. If you do want to volunteer, by the way, or want to see more opportunities to volunteer, other meetups for workouts, you can join us on the Team Reach phone app. So if you download teamreach.com is the website, download the phone app and enter group code TRI312, that will take you to our TRI312 community, just kind of an open community, lists where the workouts are, both things that you can sign up for and also just free meetups for open water swimming and that sort of thing. So take a look at that, join us. Summer season is here. And if you guys have any other questions or topics or guest speakers that you would like us to invite onto the show, comment, like, subscribe, comment below, let us know what you would like to hear about and who you would like to see. And we'll bring folks into the next couple episodes for future weeks. Or if you just want to email, you can always email us, coach@tri312.com. So all of our new Team to End AIDS triathletes who just started training this past week, they had tons of questions as they got started. So any and all questions, feel free, send it to us via email. We can answer that as well more directly that way. But I think that's pretty much it.
If they want to get in touch with me.
Yes, we had the URL up in the beginning, but
yeah,
let us know. So how do you sign up? Where can you find more information and just be kept in the loop of things?
Yeah, it comes to our website, t2ea.org is the best place. And all of our events are listed there. Our contact info is listed there for anyone to email us about questions or register for any of our races. We are full for the Bank of America Chicago Marathon and the TCS New York City Marathon. However, we have spots for all of our other races, the Twin Cities Marathon and 10 miler, Chicago Half Marathon, Chicago Tri, Paris Marathon. We'd love to have you as a volunteer or as a runner, athlete, fundraiser, however, or just if they want to get in touch with us, ask more questions, that'd be good too.
And on social media, is it just T2 Chicago and T2A?
On Instagram, it's T2, the number 2, EA. Oh no, it's Team 2 and AIDS, and the 2 is a number. And then I should know this. And then we do have a public Facebook page. So Team 2, the number 2, End AIDS in Instagram, and then on Facebook, it's just Team to End AIDS Chicago. Team to End AIDS T2 Chicago. And then
we'll put all those in the description.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
People will need to find them. And I think our first run we opened up to alumni and friends too. So
that'll be June
Saturday, June 15th.
our first
Saturday,
long
yeah.
run. Yep,
Foster Avenue
Saturday,
Beach.
Saturday, June 15th at 7
a.m. Yes.
sharp.
Yep.
We'll do some warm-ups, do a little fun run. So if anyone wants to come out and join and see T2, anyone is welcome. Cool. I think that's pretty much it for the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all. Trying the Shy. Time to say bye-bye.
Have a great one.